Go ahead, go ahead.
Just to recap, sorry, Kimmy, just so Amelia, the most important part about what I was starting to introduce is just the fact that the partnership between FloQast and Kerr Consulting exists because FloQast is the leading provider of month-end close management software in the Intact ecosystem. So over a third of our clients and hundreds, which is hundreds of accounting teams that use Intact, also use FloQast, and this includes Sage Intact's own internal accounting team. So just a great partnership between these two systems. Really excited to learn more about your close today, and I'll let Kimmy take it from here and lead the rest of the evaluation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, Gary, Amelia, looks like we have Gabby, John, and of course, Dan, Kathy, I see as well. So nice to meet everyone. I'll be walking us through the application today. Gary and team, I welcome questions. Please ask us. We want to make sure this is going to be a good fit for Oceana Cuisine Enterprises.
Yeah.
So really excited to show you the application today. I am going to share my screen. Sorry, I'm not as familiar with Microsoft Teams, but I think I can get this going here. Okay, and is everyone able to see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, we are in. So FloQast is a very lightweight solution. You pull up your Google Chrome browser, log into flowcast.com, and here we are. I'm actually going to start us in the reconciliations tab. So these are my reconciliations throughout my entire close. And what I wanted to point out first today is FloQast is actually going to help. You can think of it in 3 different ways how we help with reconciliations. The first kind are going to be those that aren't a little bit more complicated, where you're going to need additional Excel support. Well, we directly integrate with Excel to help automate that TB tie-out process. The second way in which we help with reconciliations are going to be those with a fixed balance, like a goodwill account or a clearing account. FloQast will automatically sign off on those accounts for you, not something you'll ever have to worry about. If there ever is a change made to that particular account, we will let you know. And then the third type of account in FloQast are going to be those that are a bit more standard, like a bank reconciliation, credit card cash account, maybe a prepaid amortization account. That can be fully automated in our system, hopefully saving you and your team a lot of time. And I'm going to show you that example first. So currently today, are you doing your bank reconciliations in Intact?
Yes, correct.
Got. And about how many of those do you have today?
What do you mean?
5. How many? Sorry, Amelia, you said 5?
I think it was 5, yeah.
Okay. Great. So, and Amelia, I'm assuming you're the one who's performing the bank reconciliation, it sounds like.
Yes, she is. Yeah, correct.
Okay, great. So as Thomas mentioned, many of our clients use Intact internally. I'm going to walk us through that example, but this isn't necessarily a bank rec module. It's just a matching functionality that can be used for any 2 sets of data. So we have clients using this for bank reconciliations, credit card, cash accounts, intercompany accounts, clearing accounts. Anytime where you have to manually compare 2 sets of data, that gets uploaded into FloQast, and we'll do all the matching for you. So showing you an example now. The first thing I like to look is in the top right corner, what was matched by our system. So both from the Intact and bank side, looks like about 85% there. If I want to see those matches, that's going to be in my Reconciled Transactions tab. You'll see one-to-one matches, many-to-many matches, and even many-to-one matches. And what makes FloQast unique is the way that we're doing this. There are no rules that you have to write or any maintenance you need to maintain to have this work. It comes out of the box ready to use because we leverage AI technology. An example of what that is we're matching on 4 separate reference fields. That's date, amount, and then 2 unique identifiers. So maybe here, on the Intact side, I have a transaction that says U.S. Corporation, but on the bank side, it's United States of America Co. Similar, but not exactly the same. However, based on that similarity and the amount, our tool will still pick that up as a match. If at any point you don't like a match, it's really easy to hit undo. If you do that, back into the Transactions tab, These are just the exceptions. So we wanted to create a easy user interface for you, Amelia, to sift through those exceptions. You can sort by both the date, amount, and the reference fields on the bank side as well as the Intech side, but I could independently search. So maybe I wanted to look up all of my lawyer fees here. As I look those up, looks like I found 3. I'll select all. And then on the bank side, I'm just going to look up that one lump sum. So that's 7,620 over here. Great, looks like I found it. When we agree with you that it's a match, it highlights in green. I'll hit reconcile. It's now cleared from this page. So again, these are only the exceptions. And then back in the reconciled transactions, all the way at the bottom, that was matched by me, Kimmy, on this date and not by our system.
Okay, got it.
Now, Amelia, I know this is a process that you're very much owning over there. Is this something that would be useful to what you're currently doing today?
Yeah, but not on the bank rec side. But I'm I'm thinking of so many ways I'm going to be using this, but I'll probably have a few questions later, depending on how you show it to me.
Yeah, so I would love to hear, and I love how you're already thinking. It sounds like the bank rec side, at least in Intact, is working fine. What other examples are you thinking that maybe you could use this for? I can kind of help walk you through some of those as you're thinking about it.
Okay, so we're trying to see, let's say, for examples, our fees or sales, and to connect it on our costs. So would it be something like that? Obviously, sales is higher than the fees. So how would you match that in that case? But in our case, let's say we will have like a chef ID to match it. I want to see if did our we encountered a cost. Did we charge our customer on that? So that's what I want to see. Do you understand? So
Yeah,
basically, I'm trying to see if it matches the cost and my sales.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely something that it can be used for. The fees is something where it gets a little bit more complex because it would be like, you know, 1 to 2, right? Is that in that case? Or are the fees gross? Are they net or gross?
The fees are gross.
Okay, so then in that case, it would work exactly how you described of comparing those two sources, and that's actually one reason why we haven't connected to any banks or anything, because we give you the flexibility to upload any 2 sources into FloQast and be able to use it not just for bank accounts like Intact kind of limits you, but be able to use what Intact is already doing for your bank accounts across any other process where you're comparing 2 sources. So Amelia, I think you are spot on with that use case.
But then who does that? Do we create a program, or are you gonna create a program, or do we have the flexibility to do it? Like, say, I don't know what I want to match in the future, but can I do it myself? Would that be that easy, or is that something that I need to ask you to do for us?
No, it's something that you just turn on. So we've designed our matching engine to be account agnostic, and it's really the AI that is helping to find those matches. So to use this for an account, you literally just turn it on, and it is a flip of a switch of just a setting that you turn on. All right, now I want to auto rec this account. Give us 2 sets of data, and you're off and running. There's nothing that you need to customize or build or contact us for.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Amelia? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And I guess, obviously, you know your processes a lot better than we do. What are some of the accounts that you're thinking this could be useful for?
Yeah, that's a good example, the one I just gave you. Let's say we charge our customers for we charge our operators health permit, and then we also paid health permit. So I want to know, everything we pay, did we charge our operators? So those kind of things I want to see.
Yeah, but
Or
Amelia, I would think I don't. I mean, I can. I mean, let me ask a little bit further. I don't think they can match that way, because if
yeah,
I'm just,
that's what I'm trying to see if they can do it.
so I think, I mean, let me ask in a direct way, okay? Because FYI, so actually Amelia is new to us. She haven't actually done the closing yet. Okay, so let me, if you don't mind, let me jump in a quick way. So make sure it's addressed, then we move on. Otherwise, we stuck in this for too long. So in high level, so what Amelia is talking about is, okay, so if I understand the engine that you have, somehow you need to compare two things, and then and somehow based on AI, whatever you call it, and come with a relationship and try to match it, right? Am I correct?
Correct.
But if you somehow you don't have the two sources, then you cannot compare something that you don't have something to compare against, right?
It has to either be a CSV file or an Excel file to upload. So if you
Yeah,
have
so
either of those sources,
yeah,
but if you don't have that, then yeah.
yeah, we don't have it. Okay, so the example and target, we don't have it. So basically, it's all. I mean, so in that case, let me ask this question, and then probably we can move on. The next question is, one of the things we are working on, we are working on is account receivable, account payable reconciliation. Okay, between ledger and subledger. So sometimes we have issue, but then of course it's all run under the Intact environment right now, or Intact module. So have you are you able to facilitate on those reconciliation so that it will be reconciled faster, or because everything is in Intact? So how can you address that, or it's not? It's nothing you can do because it's all in Intact already. You form so far, right?
So you're saying against a subledger. So
Ledger and subledger, they are not reconciled. So from time to time, it's not reconciled in Intact. So do you have a way to take care of it, or you don't have a way to take care of it?
Adam, that might be a question for you.
Yeah, sorry, Gary. I'm not really understanding your question. Is it? Let me see if my understanding is correct. Both sources may be coming from Intact, for example.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So we put this easy for you to think. Okay, I mean, so whoever have some accounting background, you know, right? So at the end of the day, the ledger and subledger will always have potential unreconciled, right? That is why you need accountant to close the book, right? That's one of the things they reconcile, right? Is make sure the ledger and subledger, or in this case ARAP, which is the most typical one in the accounting world, and they don't reconcile. So we have to do reconciliation, right? So, the point I try to make, of course, everything come from outside somehow, some way, and imported or entered inside to ARAP module in the Intact world, and then it's not reconciled. So when you reconcile, someone need to go in and investigate, right? In this case, that's what Amelia will be doing, right? So my question to you guys is, again, it's not, again, let me clarify, it's not deal breaker, but because Amelia bring up this one, I want to close the loop, and then we can move on. Okay, so do you guys, did your system ever, I mean, able to facilitate reconciliation within the AR module or the AP module in Intact? So that's the question, yes or no. If not, it's fine. We can go to this stuff.
Yes, but not in this specific, not in AutoRec.
So that's fine. Then we can just move forward on other stuff then. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not looking for able to do it. I just want to close the loop.
Sure.
Okay.
So our auto-rec is twofold. That was for the matching portion, which I think you understand. The second portion is going to be for prepaid amortization schedules. Is that something you're currently doing in Excel today?
Yeah. So Amelia already talking about that one too, because at the end of the day, and I don't know. I mean, so Dan, please stop me when I talk too much, okay? Because I want to make sure I'm covering the closing. So so we have, how to put it. So I'm not sure Dan explained to you, because we are I actually put this way. In theory, right, we have 300 locations in 27 states. So we are GC vendor of supermarket and also university in theory. But in essence, we don't sell anything. We are a service company. So let me clarify what that means, and then why I explain to you in this 5 minutes. So we are just connect between the host, who could be supermarket chain, could be the university or sports venue that somehow they need to have sushi sold over there. And then we, on the other hand, we recruit and train franchisee to operate the store for them. So in between, we almost do nothing other than provide coordinate, liaise, and provide service on both sides, train the franchisee, make sure they fulfill the standard brand, right? You follow so far, right?
Yes. And so, but Gary, let me ask you then. So for your processes, how you guys do everything, are you closing out multiple trial balances? Do you have multiple entities then, or no, because it's more, so is it just the one trial balance or got it? Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
Because, good question, but no, good question. But you see why the reason, I mean, that's I think this is the most important thing you need to aware. So a lot of the question I have will be around that area, because while I want to streamline my closing, but because of the business model that we are in, so that's why a lot of those closing that we can streamline or speed up is on the business model I just shared with you. As a result, high level, right? Okay.
Right.
So we have separated the company chart of account wise into 5 division, 8 department. So department is a cost center. Division is a profit center. Okay. On the profit center, so in a way it's like a different division, different business model within the business model. So each business model, each division, they have their own way of treating accounting treatment in particularly. Okay.
Yeah.
So like the I don't want to go too much detail, but but enough to open this discussion, right? So like division 1, so we check all. I mean, so in a way we don't have in multiple entity, but we separate the child account into 5 divisions, and each of division have to able to close by the uniqueness. Okay. So I talked about the first 3, then the other 2 is not that important. If you understand, you will see.
Yes.
The one is on the we call it sales and sales at the store level through sushi operator and all the cost of sales and corresponding operating expenses. Division number 2 is all the physical tangible product we sell to our franchisee and the corresponding cost of sales and operating expenses. Division number 3 is service or intangible services we provided to our franchisee and the corresponding cost of sales and service and operating expenses. You follow so far, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So as a result, you think about, I mean, for division number 2 and 3, the one I just described, a lot of time I will use the term drop shipment. Okay. So meaning that somehow we purchase something, we ship it to someone else. Okay. So basically we don't touch the product. And then the one that like immediately top out and then potentially top up prepayment. Okay. So for example, we apply health permit, which is division number 3 for our franchisee. But then at the same time, if we don't have the franchisee in place yet, so we have to amortize it until, and then record this as our expenses until we find the franchisee. Then it will trigger debit credit entry. So to the point that we will reduce our prepayment. So on the month that we have the franchisee reduce the prepayment, and then charge the franchisee as a service fee income, health permit, and do a markup automatically. So I mean then at the same time deduct the remaining prepayment as a cost of sales item, so that will be corresponding cost of sales and sales. But I don't want to go too much detail, but I think those are not your territories, right? Those are more the AP, AR automation. It's not closing the book, right?
Right, exactly. No, but still, Gary, that was very helpful for you to go through all of that. I understand it's not deal breakers around that, but it's just helpful to understand the process. I'm going to explain how that will all look in FloQast, how we can show you those 5 divisions and departments and how you want to see that. But first, I do want to show you how our prepaid amortization activity would work in FloQast.
But again, that's why, I want them to stop me because I think what I just explained to you, that's why I don't want to go too much detail, because at the end of the day, those are AP, AR automation. But the reason I brought up this one, because how about it? I don't know exactly what the closing automation look like. So if you can give me more idea what that look like and what that can do, so that I can figure out how it can benefit my closing. Because of course, in high level, right, I want to close my book faster, especially based on the division department report structure that I told you about. So when we can close faster, then we can jump into doing analysis. We can jump into business intelligence analysis.
Yes,
That cannot do, right?
exactly,
That's what we're
exactly,
trying. Okay.
exactly. Perfect. Thank you so much, Gary. I definitely will be cognizant of time. We're going to get through the whole demo, but that was very informative.
Okay.
I'm going to show you for our prepaids. Essentially, this is the other part of what we call auto rec. But pretty straightforward here, very intuitive. Essentially, what your team will do first is just upload last month's prepaid reconciliation, tell us how you want to read the schedule, and FloQast is going to identify the information that's needed to book the journal entry once it's done. So once we bring all the information into our system, here on the right, we actually calculate the whole waterfall schedule for you, breaking down the monthly expense, doing the calculations on your behalf. And FloQast will also point out, as you can see here, that account string and department. So identifying the specific account for where the journal entry needs to be booked. What makes this tool powerful is the fact that if you need to make an edit or adjustment to your schedule, that's very easy accommodated in FloQast. So I can edit these information here on the left, but what tends to happen is maybe in a particular month, like in November, I'm actually going to need to recognize more expense. So if I need to change that, FloQast will automatically update everything for me moving forward until that ending balance is 0. And then in the roll forward tab here, this essentially is my reconciliation, the total impact on the right of that beginning balance, what was added new, the current period, and then the ending balance as well. And FloQast is going to make a system generated reconciliation for me. If I want to give you an example of what that would look like, it's going to have my roll forward here. My reconciliation is complete. I'm going to have all that amortization activity with the waterfall schedule on the right here, as well as those journal entries. So just helping to standardize the prepaids across all of those accounts for you, as you mentioned, those divisions. I think this could be a helpful tool in that sense. Did that make sense there, Gary?
I'm still thinking. So I kind
okay. Yes, no, take it in.
But what if, later on it's fine. I ask the question later.
Okay, sure. So I want to take a step back. I've showed you how we help with matching, how we help with prepaids, but I just want to also explain the backbone of the application here. So coming into this Close the Books tab, this folder structure on the right is customizable. So if you wanted to have this broken out by those 5 divisions or departments, you're able to do it that way. Or if you wanted to just have one main entity, that's fine too. We then have it broken out by year, month, and process. And where FloQast is pulling this information from is going to be that cloud storage. So with Google Drive, we have an API integration there. So as you're making changes and updates to your workbooks, those will get reflected in FloQast and vice versa. And you'll see here it's entity. So if you wanted to do the different divisions, you can break it out that way, year, month, and process. Is this similar to how your folders are structured today?
I don't understand what you mean by folder.
For the month end close, I guess for how you're organizing the reconciliations today.
I have been honest. I can't quite catch when you said the folder. What does that mean? So I noticed that. Okay, are you saying that in each month? So in what's in each folder? Each folder is like a reconciliation. I mean, it's the closing schedule. What's inside?
Let me ask Gary, where do you save your reconciliations today?
We prepare it manually in Excel.
In Excel. And then are you saving that in a folder on an internal share drive? Are you saving that in folders on Google Drive?
Yeah,
where are you
something like that in Dropbox.
In Dropbox. Okay, great. So that's exactly what we're doing here. So where you're saving those folders in Dropbox, that's how we'll reflect it in FloQast. So that's how we're going to be able to integrate with those reconciliations, integrate with Excel, and I'm going to show you how we automate the TB tie out.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, let you continue, then I can see whether it makes sense or not.
Okay, that's fair. So here in accounts receivable, so these folders of how you're saving your reconciliations, that's customizable, but you're going to have three parts. So we have the checklist at the top. So any checklist items here, for example, I have all my accounts receivable checklist items. I have all my documents and all those reconciliations. With the checklist at the top, where you can set reoccurring deadlines on a T plus or minus system, assign prepare reviewers, multiple reviewers, and then sign off on a task. This can be a quarterly, annual, or monthly task, maybe a one-off item you have. If anything falls past due, it highlights in red, and I'll get an email, hey, Kimmy, looks like you're behind on this. Make sure I come in, complete it, and sign off with the date and time stamp. Keeping the team accountable, letting them know what they have on their to-do list every day, and just ensuring that you're all going to close on time. The middle section here with all the documentation, this again is what's just being mirrored over from Dropbox. So all of the documents you have in Dropbox, you can actually just access them right in FloQast. This is really helpful for the audit. A lot of our clients give their auditors direct access into FloQast. Because all the documentation is centralized, it really helps to streamline that PBC process. You, of course, can decide what the auditors can and can't see and make those decisions as well. And then the third part with the reconciliations. So this is how, Gary, we're going to tie now back to Excel. So to hopefully answer your question that you had asked. But here's an account of a reconciliation. This is the number I'm pulling directly in from Intact through our API integration. The number I get from Excel, I'll show you how we do that in a moment. I'm above a material threshold. You can set a material threshold on every account. I'm above mine, so it's highlighted in red, and therefore I cannot sign off on this reconciliation. Now, when I bring up my workbook, however you are doing your workbooks in Excel today is absolutely fine. If you have a lead sheet, however you're doing them, the only thing we add is this hashtag FQ-account number. Whatever is to the left of that is the number that we're actually pulling into FloQast. So I know I was missing that 189,502. I'm going to update it here. And then when I come back into FloQast, you'll see this refresh button. When I hit that, it's going to ping Intact, but also all of the hashtag FQ-account numbers throughout all of my workbooks. It's going to ping those as well. Now it's been updated. I'm below the material threshold, and I can send off on this account with that date and timestamp. So this becomes, obviously, this is going to help your team save some time by automating that more manual tick and tie process. But where this becomes even more valuable is it's a detective control, because let's say I've already signed off on an account and maybe a journal entry gets added last minute or a number gets fat fingered, which happens. You can rest assured that FloQast will notify the preparer and reviewer immediately if a reconciliation ever falls out of balance, so they can go in and make those corrections and then re-sign off, so you have 100% accuracy around every number in your close. Does that make sense there, Gary? Did I answer your question?
I don't know yet. Continue, because I'm still consolidating what it does. Just continue. Then I will ask question.
Okay, sure. So continuing on here in the dashboard, so if you wanted to see those 5 divisions or 5 departments, I can have a snapshot bird's eye view. Gary, this is probably will be helpful for you as a CFO to just kind of see where I'm at, and I can scroll over and look how far along are we prepared and reviewed for checklists and reconciliations, but more importantly, what's late. And then I can do it by entity if you wanted to see a particular view in that way. I'll see my checklist and reconciliations here at the top. Again, what's been tied out, what's been reviewed, and then broken out by the folder structure that we can create for Asiana. what's tied out here, what's still open, how far along we are in the checklist. And I can click into any of these folders and it will bring me back to the Close the Books tab to that folder, and I can scroll through that way as well. Now, are you using a checklist today that's in Excel for the team?
Kind of, but because since it's an Excel, so it's not quite how put it, rigorously able to follow. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. So it's not very workflow friendly, sounds like. So we are going to help turn that checklist that you're using today into an interactive workflow tool. So here's that master checklist, and you can break this out again by division or by department if you wanted to, with those you had mentioned to me when you explained to me your process, or by a particular entity there. And then I can search here throughout my checklist, maybe see items that are assigned to a particular user, or maybe I want to mix and match. So if I want to see everything that's incomplete, and then we have custom tags that we can make. So incomplete, high risk items, I can mix and match and have visibility that way into the status of the close in real time. Something else that's helpful with our checklist is you can attach any type of documentation, assign a review note if needed for communication purposes, but you'll also see this eye icon at the top. I'm neither the preparer or reviewer on that task. However, I'm dependent on it to be completed for me to do my task. So we call that follow an item. I'll get updates. It will tell me the status of that item. So when it is completed, I can go in and then do my task following. This can be exported to a PDF, something to share with auditors. It's going to be a report of the prepare and reviewer sign-offs with the date and timestamp there off of your entire checklist at the end of the month. Do you have any questions? You want me to keep going and you'll ask all your questions at the end?
Okay, basically we have only about 20 minutes or so. So let me ask a quick question. Make sure I understand what I see so far, right? So so the product that you shown to me right now is basically they work around three things: checklist, documentation / folder, and then reconciliation. Correct, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So and then checklist is basically so in a way all these things together is giving me three things. One is give a structure, kind of rigorous structure about what the closing look like, and then once you build the structure also give whoever stakeholders visibility about the structure, and also visibility of the progress and the bottleneck potentially. So in a way, the last thing will be tracking. If we check where we at, who are we waiting, and potentially put with notes why we're waiting, something like that, right?
Yes.
So, but the question I have is, so the checklist, if I see what I see right now, the checklist basically is like a to-do list, but of course it's a much more sophisticated list that's catered for closing. But actually a lot of things still cannot be closed by itself. So it's just let you know the step and where you're at the step, right? And then on the folder documentation, the way you showed to me, so a lot of things, if it reside outside or in the Excel setting, so then actually it will become dependent on how much is outside, how much inside, right? My point is the more is inside Intel, the more inside is FloQast, then there's lesser potential bottleneck or dependency. So meaning that the more I automate within Intel, the lesser stuff will be outside. If the more I don't automate inside, then the more stuff will go outside, right?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. So,
okay.
So what's your question then? You're saying that I'm just a little bit confused on your question around that, or you're just trying to understand what we do?
I'm trying to understand. And but then so yeah, I just want to make sure at this time I just want to make sure I understand what I'm seeing. So then you keep showing to me. So at the end of the day, of course, I mean,
yes,
not
right.
a question, but more is in my head is what
Sure.
is the
you want to see the value.
Yeah,
right?
Actually, what is the benefit of doing this? I mean, of course, I see some benefit at this point in time, I've been offering me some benefit, but how big is that benefit? And they say what the benefit is, right? That's why I asked you a question about checklist, folder, and organization, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you got it. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. No, I understand. So I think you're on the right track, Gary. You're understanding it. So FloQast really is there's a couple different ways I think your team will find value. As far as becoming more efficient by having the ability to track these items and see where the status of the close, you are going to be able to save time with the team when you know something is ready for review. It's immediate. You're not waiting there. And if, as far as having everything organized and in place, that's going to show you, Gary, where your team is at. Everyone can see what they need to get done. You're not waiting on people or sending emails, right? As you mentioned, you have that checklist in Excel, but it can only do so much. It's not going to give you all the benefits you need around that. You'll save time too by automating some of these more manual processes. So having us being able to automate prepaids, or I know Amelia gave the example of in our matching tool, but also just the whole TB tie out, saving your team some time there as well. That's where you'll see time savings. And then FloQast will actually point out the bottlenecks in your process, because we are a tracking tool and we're tracking how long is it taking you to complete certain tasks or certain reconciliations, how many days does it take you to complete these tasks and reconciliations. We'll show you where you can be more efficient in your own processes because we're tracking them. So hey, these are the top 3 tasks that take the longest, or these are the top 3 reconciliations that take the longest, and we can show you that. So if you focus on that, you'll get time savings through that way as well. And then from an audit perspective, I know you have that background, so you can see we're built by former auditors. I'm sure with that background in mind, it's really helpful to have one central place to find everything and have it all organized. Not to mention, you have full reliance that your numbers are accurate because you're using our system, and we have those detective controls in place. 40% of our clients are publicly traded, so auditors can place full reliance on FloQast. So you're going to have that in place too. Hopefully can help, make sure there are no overruns. We've had clients even reduce audit fees with a tool like FloQast because it is really helping that whole process as well. Does that make sense a little bit of where some of our clients have found value?
Yes. So let me ask, maybe even including Dan too, a question. So first, we're not a public company yet. So at the end, this would be less a concern of me. Of course, I know where you're coming from because I'm, as you said, I'm an auditor before. So
Yes.
that part I see a lot of benefit if you are being audited, right? Or if you're a record audit, yes,
Right.
Actually I know where you come from. But that's not my primary concern or benefit right now.
Sure.
I think the question more so is, if we have, of course, they know what I'm talking about. If we automate a lot of process underneath from AR, AP, so then when you go to the closing of the automation of the closing, quote unquote, whatever that means, then
Sure.
will be, so in a way, how to put it? Okay, yeah, I got idea how to say it. So the way is like that, right? So if we have a lot of issue on closing, or a lot of things that is bottleneck already right now before we
Yeah.
automate, okay? If we don't clean up those, put this way, if we don't clean up the trash in different room in our house, somehow
I understand.
you just put a robot try to automate all those stuff, and then it's not to solve the underlying issue, because each room have their own owner. If each of the kids don't clean up their room in certain extent, you can have automate. You have a robot vacuum cleaner. But if all the floor is all the trash and all the toys and everything on it, what can they do?
Yeah.
They can clean around it, but they're not take care of the issue. So my question more so is, how much I need to automate and have each the room clean up as much as possible before I use something like what you showed to me, or if I go, otherwise if I try to check everything, at the end of the day, we should figure out, okay, we have all these problems. It's not going to solve it. This is not what this problem is about. Unlike automation on the LAP, so they're actually going to solve some of the bottleneck, clean up some of the room.
Sure. So I think that's a completely fair point. I love the analogy. I totally understand what you're saying. I definitely want to make sure that we will bring your team value. What I can tell you is teams on Intact who have that automation with Intact, right? Because obviously Intact is a very robust system. It can achieve many things, but it's not a close management tool. So even those AP and AR tools, they're going to bring you automation, but for what they're specifically designed for. They don't have task management, they don't have interactive checklists or the ability to track tasks. They can't capture communication between the team, where FloQast, we have review notes that directly integrate with Slack, and they notify you when something's ready for review or if something falls out of balance. Also, these other tools, they're not going to prepare you for an audit. Like I mentioned, auditors can place that full reliance on FloQast, having all the documentation centralized. Here we have dashboards. FloQast is going to give you that full visibility into the status of the close. And we even have, a flux analysis where you can leave explanations and include sign-offs. So that's why so many of our InTech clients who also have AP and AR and automation still use FloQast as well, because FloQast is really just going to help you with that close, bring in that automation, all those things that I mentioned, put it on autopilot for you. Not to say that those other tools aren't helpful, right? It's kind of a mix of everything. You're trying to get, we're the best in breed when it comes to close management. So if you're telling me, hey, Kimmy, the close, that's hard for us. Like, I want to save time here. We need to button up this process. Then FloQast is the best fit for that. Does that make sense? I know there are a lot of tools out there, and I know that you want to make sure that you have the value. So, right now you can't identify those issues just yet. So when I talk about the analytics, to show you an example of that, here in our analytics tab, this is where we point out those reoccurring late checklist items and reoccurring late reconciliations. Here is a list for you, Gary, and the team of all the bottlenecks in your process. How many days late are they? How often are they late? So showing you where to spend your time to become the most efficient that you can be.
So Amelia, any questions?
No, I'm good. I understand this will be helpful, and yeah, I understand the whole program. Like, I mean, not whole, but how it's gonna help us.
Hey, please, Amelia, you understand, right?
I don't understand the whole program, but
I was gonna say, Amelia, we'll have to hire you over here. One demo. Wow.
Like what you're saying, I'm understanding how it's gonna help us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, please. I want to make sure Amelia asks all the questions, because then we're gonna have talk afterward, and then we figure out what's the next step. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, are there any questions then, Amelia, that I can answer for you? I know. I think, like you said, the tool is pretty intuitive, and I know I've talked to just some ways in which some of our clients are using it, but I guess specifically for what you know of Asiana cuisine or just what I've showed you today, do you have any follow-up questions or even comments of where you think it could be helpful?
It is gonna be helpful in closing. That's a fact. Especially now, like what Gary said, I'm new, and this kind of tool is really helpful for what I am currently working on during closing. So, but I want to. Is this the last time you guys are gonna show this, or what's?
No.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, no, definitely. I think this is the first demo, right? This is the first time you're seeing it. Afterwards, I'm sure you'll want to sync offline, chat amongst yourselves. Maybe you'll come up with additional questions. I'm sure we'll want to set up a separate call as well, just to talk about implementation and pricing. I think that's a big comment too, Gary, when you're talking about value. Because you're on Intact, you're using Dropbox. I mean, you're looking at an implementation time of under 3 weeks It really is that quick. And during that time, maybe about 5 or 6 hours of your time, probably, Amelia, as we're helping to set everything up. We do everything in-house here. Our entire implementation team, our CPAs. So you're talking accountant to accountant. They have that Big Four audit experience. They've done over thousands of these implementations, can offer you best practices, not only around FloQast, but also around Intact. Like I mentioned, we have such a great partnership there. So that could be a big value add too, right? If you can see something, if you can get that value in quickly, then it might make sense for that too. I'm not really sure of your timing, of course, and don't know your resources, but just to understand the FloQast side, how quickly we can move, because we are so lightweight on our end.
Yeah, but Jimmy, thank you for the insight, because the best practice definitely is something important, because ultimately,
Yes.
I mean, I use you can get the best task manager in the world, but how to put it and how to manage it, then it's become the magic, right? Or otherwise it would be just a lot of junk.
Right. And that's why, so our CEO, he came from EY. That's why our implementation and setup and then support will always be in-house. We're never going to outsource that. Exactly what you're saying. You can buy the best tool in the world, but if you're not using it or your team's not using it, then it doesn't matter. So it's very important to us to have that great user adoption. That's something that we take, that's what separates us in this space. I think you can see, like Amelia said, she totally gets the whole tool, but but enough to understand that you can see it's intuitive, it's easy to use. And that team of CPAs, why we put CPAs in place is we want you to almost use them as consultants as well. They're going to really help make sure, hey, have you thought of using this in Intact like this? This is how the other, hundreds of clients of us are using that. Maybe that could be helpful for you. And then also say how they work with FloQast as well.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, Care Consulting, especially because of that intro here, they're really going to be hands-on through this as well and make sure that you're leveraging all the functionality to the best that you can to get the most value.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I know we have about 8 minutes here. I guess, but I think it would make sense if we talk offline. I'll let you and the teams discuss offline, but if we set up another call to talk about implementation and pricing, so you have an idea of what that's going to look like as well. Or did you want to talk about that now? I know we have our call coming up with just 8 minutes left, so I want to be cognizant of everybody's time.
Yeah. So then, any question, any comment?
Sorry, I'm speaking on mute. So not at the moment. I think, Gary, you and I need to talk offline, see where your thoughts are, and then obviously I'll circle back with Thomas and Kimmy to get this, I guess, to the next step if that's where we need to go.
Yes, yeah, agree. Okay. So Gabby, Kathy, any questions? Oh, Gabby, Kathy is my account department too.
Okay.
Not for me, Gary. Just probably more Amelia would understand more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here, no questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in that case, Pop, I mean, if you don't have written, we should. I think that would be good, because I think I got a good idea what it does. Based on what I paraphrase back to you, right?
Yes, no, definitely. I think you have a good understanding. So at least when you're talking offline, I guess, before we leave here, are you doing any type of flux analysis today?
No.
Is that something that is something you would want to do?
I don't know yet. because put it this way, I mean, there's a lot of, seriously speaking, Dan and me already plot strategically what are the priority. So after we do a priority, then we'll look at other stuff, of course, absolutely. But right now we have certain priority. We're looking at, you already heard some of those already. So APAR automation. So to what extent we automate, and then at the same time, then closing the book, of course, in our horizon, but priority is APAR automation. So and then we're going to look at the closing the book. So we can next step is do FYI. We're going to do BI, business intelligence. So we can analyze. But at the end of the day, just like the energy I give to you. we cannot analyze something if the room is not clean enough to have the robot to come in to clean the room on the final cleaning, right?
Right. No, that makes total sense. We do have a flux analysis here with FloQast, but
Okay.
Do you want to see it or?
Yeah, if you, I mean, see, we have still a couple minutes. You want to show this fund? Basically, the idea of the all this is part of the how to put it, decision making.
Yes, exactly. So just wanted to show you in case it was something you were interested in. That can be for the balance sheet or P&L here, and you can run as many custom reports as you want. So it's a period over period analysis. I have a month over month pulled up, but quarter to quarter, year to date. The drop down on the left is going to be customizable, and what FloQast is going to do is it will flag an account, whether that's at the group level or the account level, if there's been a material change, but more importantly, give you the ability to explain why. So if I'm closing out my books, there happens to be material change. While it's fresh in my mind, I can add in my flux explanation right there. So I'm doing it right in conjunction with the close. And that way you have with FloQast, the pre-close items all the way through to a flux analysis there. And then at the end, you can export this. I'll show you an example of what the balance sheet export would look like. But essentially, it's going to be that report of those material changes, the explanations, and then who wrote that, as well as when it was last updated.
Interesting. I'm doing something like that myself. Yeah, I see, to my boss. Yeah, I see.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So
yeah, but
whether to share with the board.
Is,
oh, sure.
In terms of the comparison, can we decide what we comparing to? So this different institute. I'm like in this case, you compare month to month, right? Last month, this month, right? So can I decide? Let's say last year, this year, trending, that kind of thing. So you decide what to compare on, and then as a result, you can use these tools to the automate calculate. Could be a changes, could be a percentage, and then explanation by who, something like that, right?
Exactly right, Gary. You fully
Okay.
understand it. You're exactly right.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. I mean, this is good tools. Thank you for showing to me because as I said, I'm doing it right now manually right now, so this will be useful. Thank you.
Right. Yes, exactly. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, well, I know I've showed you a lot today. I know you have to talk offline, Dan, Gary, and the whole team, but I just wanted to say I really appreciate all of your time. I know everyone's busy, and especially with working from home and with everything going on. So just thank you all for giving me an hour and letting me walk you through FloQast.
Yeah,
thank you.
Kimmy, thank you, Adam, thank you, Thomas. So, Amelia and Dan, could we stay behind, and then we can chat with you guys, and then we have top of this week, of course, Dan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Perfect.
John,
all right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you, Thomas. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate the demonstration. It was actually a lot of help for me as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, where's Amelia? Amelia's here.
I'm here.
Okay. In a quick way, right? So, Amelia, digest it first. I mean, you don't digest it first. So put this way: if you were me, okay. So now so what is your next step? What do you want to do? Think about it, and then schedule a call between Dan and me and you. Then we can figure out what's the next step. So we can put this as part of this strategy that Dan and me are working on. So in high level, what I'm talking about, right? For example, so with this, what do you like about it? What kind of thing you want to see more, or to a point that okay, this is absolutely not something you're looking for. So in that case, so how come it's all dropped out?
I'm here.
How come everything gone? Oh, so sorry, I see with you. Or to the point that you want to see another product and then compare. You follow me so far, right? So think about digest it and then schedule a call between you and me and then we go from there. Okay.
Dan, are they going to be sending us a recording?
One second.
Or can you send it?